also a financial planner. And for the next hour, Emily's here with me this morning. Good morning. Good morning, Emily. You got to be a little louder, Emily, right there in that mic. People really like you. People tell me they like when Emily's on here. They said, who's the girl with you? I said, that's Emily. Emily is another enrolled agent. So you actually have 2 enrolled agents here in the Blue Room, which is a pretty rare thing because there's only about 50,000 of us in the whole country. The IRS does not publish stats on how many enrolled agents there are, but some good sources have said that it's high 40s, almost 50,000 of us. And I can see why if you took the test. And you took it just, that was 2 years ago, right now?
I think so.
2 years ago, you took the test and you passed, actually 3 tests, and you passed all 3 of them. For me, failure was not an option because you can't. Once you commit, you got to take the plunge.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was hours of reading obscure tax law. Why? So I can come here and do this program. I mean, if nothing else came out of it, those of you live streaming, www.wcab59.com. I always got to remember there's no 0 behind it. 59.com. Those of you live streaming. Emily, you got to move over just a little bit here. So you got to get in frame.
Either that or he needs to
you
move
need to
the
move.
camera.
Can you move? My engineer this morning, Tom, could you do some engineering there? Can you move that camera just over just a little bit so everybody can see Emily's? Oh, I know, Tom. That involves standing up. That involves standing up out of your chair. Sorry, Tom.
How about that?
It's okay. Here we are in the Blue Room. Yay! In the Blue Room. Those of you live streaming, good morning. Thank you very much. Yeah, I look great with my yellow vintage tie. In the Blue Room this morning. So those of you that pick us up later on the live stream, thank you. On the live feed, the replay on YouTube, I guess, and other channels that have it. Thank you so much. And those of you that go to my podcast at gilberttalkstaxes.com and listen to that. I actually met one of the people. We had somebody call us up, make an appointment, come in to see me, and they said, I listen to your podcasts.
Woohoo!
He said, it's very interesting stuff you talk about. Gilbert talks about everything, is what he said. He said, you really cover a lot of bases there. I said, well, at 8 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday morning, after you've done taxes all week, I said, it's because there's something that happens on Friday night with the news feed. And I try to prepare for this program during the week, but it's like whatever happens Friday seems to overshadow everything. Like it was Silicon Valley Bank 2 weeks ago. And it just, I don't know why, but it just seems like there's like a crescendo there. We really don't need 24/7 news. That's the problem. We can get all the news just on Friday. Let's just save it all till Friday. Going to talk about a few things this morning. So my information, wait, I'm not done giving my information. We have 2 offices, one at 704 Oak Street in Forest City. I'm used to saying that now. Yeah, I was confusing it a little bit there. It took me a while to get used to saying that, Forest City. 704 Oak Street in Forest City. We also have our office in Tryon, 226 South Trade Street, the beautiful Art Deco building right off the historic downtown Tryon. One telephone number gets you appointments at both offices. It's 828-289-9300. Now, while we are accepting new clients, Emily's smiling at me there. While we're accepting new clients, we're pretty much at the wire now. If you don't get us your stuff by March 31st, that's a hard line, Emily. Get the Sharpie out. I want to make a line. March 31st, we're going to have to extend. That's just going to be it. Now, we've already started extending. Some people have called us and said, we've got people out of the country, we've got people out of town, we've got people that aren't going to be ready. They're already calling us, and they're saying, file an extension for me. Now, when you file an extension, Emily...
An extension to file is not an extension to pay.
Right.
So, if you know you owe, please send them some money.
Yes, you're supposed to make a reasonable estimate of what you owe. And most people know, the same people owe every year, pretty much. 80% of the people owe because it's just how they run their lives.
They make money.
They make money, and that's what happens. So this is the crowd, the money crowd now, that comes at the end because they usually owe. They're the ones that the spouse has to drag them into my office. Literally, that kicking and screaming sound that you hear coming to the door, that's one spouse dragging the other spouse in there. And I didn't realize how ferocophobic so many people were.
It's chronic.
It is chronic ferocophobia. You weren't with me the day I talked about that.
No, you stole my line.
I did steal your line. Well, actually, she told me about ferocophobia. For those of you out there that don't know, ferocophobia is the fear of the IRS and paying taxes. But I looked it up, and there's actually a doctor trying to get that on the phobia list.
Oh, I'm sure.
And
You could make a lot on that.
well, I think that's his whole. I'm not sure what his gimmick is, or what his angle is. Gimmick's the wrong word. I don't know. I mean, how's he trying to make a buck off this? Does he want to be the counselor? Because he's not a tax preparer. He's not
No, but one more diagnosis might have something.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Job security, maybe.
Job security, because he's really pushing this thing. He's actually written a paper about it. At first, I thought it was a joke. Like, I would do that as a joke. Like, I would really think that would be funny as an accountant.
No, I think he's like a psychologist.
No, he was. Yeah, he is. He is. Yeah, he was. He's still alive. I think he is. I read his stuff 2 weeks ago. I haven't checked in with him lately. But, yes, and he wrote a pretty intensive article, I want to say 2 years ago, or a year and a half ago. And at the beginning of it, I mean, is this like, it's like an ad for medicine, when you think of the IRS, does your palm start perspiring?
When you see that white envelope in the mail, does your heart stop?
Do you feel lonely, isolated when you think about taxes? And I'm thinking, what is this, like some CPA wrote this as a joke? And
no, you're not alone.
Well, you're not alone.
Others suffer.
Yes. Ferocophobia. It's the Greek word for taxation, phoros. And of course, phobia, fear of taxes. So the man did that. And then I really think he's trying to get this thing like classified. So if he can get it in, what's that book? The DM, the Book of Diagnoses, the DMC book. If he can get it in there, then insurance companies will actually pay for the counseling for people that are ferocophobic. This could really, think this thing all the way through. Another disease. So really, we don't have tax delinquent people. We have victims.
Oh, this is going the.
Even Tom groaned on that one.
You mean we're gonna have to start filing insurance claims for tax resolution?
Yes. So it's not
this is getting complicated.
It's not their fault. They're not deadbeats that don't pay their taxes. They're mentally handicapped people. Where else would this guy be going with this? Because it's a dead end street. It really is.
I can see Hawk Law jumping on this
Oh,
one.
there you go.
All 9.
Yeah, billboards all over the highway in South Carolina, up and down the highway in South Carolina for this. Yeah, I better stop before him because I know I'm going to giving somebody an idea. There's somebody right now writing this down somewhere. That Gilbert guy's a genius. Okay, let's move on from that subject of ferocophobia. So we are actually. I'm going to talk about another subject. What about the freeze we had? Because the weather out there, the storm. Did that lightning wake you up this morning at 6 o'clock?
Not the lightning, but the rain.
The thunder at 6 o'clock in the morning. I set my alarm for right at 6. I know. Which is sleeping in for me, but I didn't get to bed till I think it was around 1. I think, yeah, doing tax returns. You know that thing that we do this time of the year. Mm-hmm. Actually, I was getting ready for today and getting ready for today's schedule. So I got caught up in it, and I didn't realize the time. It got late on me. So I set the alarm clock for 6, and it went off at 6. And right as I got up out of bed, there was a loud lightning clap. And I thought, what kind of alarm is that?
You talking about the freeze earlier in the week?
So we had the freeze earlier in the week. You know what I did?
I don't know, but I was going to ask you if your peonies survived.
Peonies survived. Let me tell you why. Actually, we had 2 nights of it. We had a deep freeze, and the second night was really a bad one. You know what I did? I bought these bags. They're made out of this green burlappy material. I don't know. They're made in China. They're made with some kind of Chinesium. I don't know. They're these bags, and they're pretty big. They're about 2.5 feet tall and about a foot and a half around with a little drawstring on them, and they're made to put over your tomato plants and your whatever for the frost. So I got, oh, I didn't even know there was such a thing. I was actually looking for a better way to cover my peonies because I saw it coming. When you have a mild spring like we've had and a mild winter, we usually get a pretty cold, and you get these freezes. I said, this is going to happen. So I got them. Christy was so excited about it, she went out there and covered the peonies.
Yay!
Yay!
Christy.
Oh, I actually got 2 good nights sleep on that. Oh, yeah. And the peonies, she was all about it. She thought, of course, she thinks I'm just very smart, but she actually loved them. So I thought, yes. So I recommend these for you guys that your wife wakes you up at 1 a.m. to go cover the plants when we have the freeze. Get you some of these bags. Give me a call. I'll tell you where I got them. I'll pass that tip on to you. Okay, so deadlines. Let's talk about the deadlines. Emily, you said they've already extended some deadlines.
There was a email yesterday that New York storm victims qualify for tax relief. The April 18th deadline and other dates have been extended to May 15th.
What happened in New York? Did I miss that? Storms? Winter storms?
I'm assuming. I thought I saw something about a snow, but I have not been in the news.
Well, it's New York. It snows up there. Was it? I mean, what kind of snow did they have to cause the IRS to extend? That must have been a serious snowstorm. I know that there were some extensions going on, and they've done it for whatever happened in California. I think it was fires.
Now, Mississippi had some killer tornadoes.
Mississippi had some tornadoes, and those were serious. I'm from the Midwest. I grew up in the Midwest, so tornadoes are very serious there.
New York snowstorm victims now have until May 15th because, they're probably snowed in.
They're probably snowed in. Yeah, it was
Never
that.
mind that we do most things online now.
Yeah,
But-
and that's the part I don't understand why they're extending, unless it's a hurricane or a tornado that literally removes buildings from the ground. I don't understand the need to do this. And I'm not diminishing it. I know snowstorms are serious and they happen, but I don't know why they're doing that. So though you people that were affected by these storms, and you know who you are, and there's a lot of regional things that happen. That's why I think it's so important to go to a professional. The days of doing your tax return by yourself, I really think are, for people that have any kind of complicated return. Here regionally, a couple of years ago, when the Broad River overflowed and affected many homes downriver of Lake Lure, pretty much anybody downstream of Lake Lure, had massive flooding. There was actually credits, and the area was regionally declared a disaster zone for those residents, and there was actually relief that they could get for repairs and things. So it's important to know what's going on locally, because you can actually have a localized event, like we had a lot of rain up towards Asheville, across the Broad River to come down, to swell, come down. They had to lower the gates at the dam, and it caused a lot of downriver flooding. So, and you do get, you don't necessarily get money, but so repairs and things. I had several clients that had to replace bridges leading to their property. Some people had to evacuate their homes. Other people had to do major repair to their homes. And if you didn't have flood insurance, which a lot of people don't, because a lot of those areas aren't declared a floodplain, it's all out of pocket for you. So the repairs and things. So there's a lot of things there. So just be aware that those things do happen. But right now, for everybody else, the extension is April 18th. Or not the extension. Everybody that hasn't extended has not extended. The deadline is April 18th. That is a Tuesday. April 15th falls on a Saturday. Monday, the 17th, is Emancipation Day in Washington, D.C., and the federal government is shut down. As far as I'm concerned, I think it stays shut down for a while. I think we do better. I'm sorry. I think
That's a topic for another hour.
that's a topic. Yeah, that's a topic for another conversation. But they will reopen, kind of, sort of, Tuesday the 18th, and that is the last day to file your tax return. We will be e-filing right up until midnight. Yeah, I know. It's almost a tradition now. I almost have to stay at the office late, even if I have them all done. I'll still stay there late. I felt guilty going home on the 15th of March I think we went home at 8 o'clock. I felt guilty that how could we be done so early? Yeah, I know. We were really ahead of the curve on it with the extensions and filing all the tax returns. So the 18th, and that is for you individual filers out there, and for C corporations. You file an 1120 tax return. You're an Inc. or an LLC that has C Corp status. Your tax return is due April 18th. Okay, let's take our first break. A little late, but let's go ahead and take our first break. This is Gilbert Talks Taxes. Gilbert and Emily Talk Taxes. WCAB, AM 590, FM 100.9. I want to tell you about another great local business, Forest City Concrete and Grading. Call Sean at 828-447-5949. Sean is a licensed general contractor. He can do your job from site development to completion. That's Forest City Concrete and Grading. Call Sean at 828-447-5949 and tell him Gilbert Talks Taxes sent you.
This is Kimberly. If you owe the IRS for prior years or you have unfiled tax returns, don't call those national toll-free numbers. Affordable, secure, and local help is available for you. Call Gilbert at 828-289-9300. Gilbert is an enrolled agent permitted to practice before the IRS. Taxation is his specialty. He knows the latest laws to help you with your problem. Avoid garnishments, levies, and liens. All initial consultations are free. Call Gilbert at 828-289-9300.
Gilbert Talks Taxes, we are back. Thank you, Kimberly, for that endorsement. Thank you very much. Ever cheerful. She's the only one I'm going to be cheerful about tax resolution. If you get letters from the IRS, just call Gilbert. WCAB, AM 590, FM 100.9. The program is Gilbert Talks Taxes, and I can talk about taxes because, as we all know, taxation with representation has not been such a good idea either. If you need to get me to make an appointment to do your tax return, or you just want to talk to me about something, anything, financial planning, we were voted, or I was voted, we, all of us, in the office. I don't take the credit. It's a group effort over there. But we were best of Rutherford County for financial planning this year. Yay! Thank you, everybody that voted for me. It really does mean a lot to us. But my telephone number is 828-289-9300. That's 828-289-9300. We were talking about the Dirty Dozen. That's the IRS's. They publish a list every year of things to be aware of. And it seems that the closer we get to these deadlines, the more desperate people get, and they'll try. Because you were just going to say during the break, what was it you saw? Something about
somebody had taken a TikTok or something of them. They did their own taxes on like TurboTax or some website, and whatever they had done, they were going to get like $1.6 million back in refund.
Right.
And I'm like, don't file that.
Yeah, well, they will. They will. There's a percentage. It's a small percentage, but there's a percentage. And the IRS's computer is actually programmed to just move those over to a bucket. But there is things that just don't make sense. You know, they just don't make sense. Now, could somebody potentially get that refund for $1.6 million? Yes.
Sure, if they legitimately.
It could potentially happen. And that's the thing is I've seen where they post online that they created this, but then they don't do the follow-up post where the IRS sends you a letter.
That could have been because they were in handcuffs behind bars.
Yeah, there was a lady. So we're talking about IRS scams. There is the IRS publishes a list every year. And it's pretty much the same list every year. They call it the Dirty Dozen. It's all their scams. Phishing is one of them, and I've talked about this. The 10 years I've been doing this. And by the way, I was talking about this stuff before the IRS was. Yeah, I know. And Liz just nodding.
Yeah.
I was talking about it before they were. I was talking about scams and fraud, tax frauds, because I really want to just warn people out there, don't fall for these things. And, you know, they call up and say, we're with the IRS. We're holding your refund. This is a classic one. We're holding your refund because there's a mistake on your tax return. And then I've said it because the people will call me after the fact. Nobody says, okay, let me call my preparer, and they hang up and call me. No, they engage this person calling them. And, it's like the one man said, it's like, oh, that Gilbert, I knew he'd mess something up. Yeah. Yeah. And then he calls me to tell me how I messed up. And I said, did you give them your bank account information? Yeah, they needed it to get me my refund.
Ooh. Ooh.
I know. I never heard from him again, by the way. So I don't know what ever happened there. But yeah. So they're going to call you up and they're going to say, we're holding your refund because something's going to happen. And like something happened in that man's brain. All he heard was, I'm not getting my money. They need my bank. The IRS will never call you, ever. They don't call. I mean, we can't get them to return our calls on issues we're trying to resolve with them. They're that backed up. They're not going to call you because, oh, by the way, Tom, we noticed that your bank account information doesn't look right.
No, you're going to get one of those lovely generic CP letters.
You're going to get a generic CP letter, computer-generated letter after the fact. And really, most people aren't even going to get that letter. You're going to call them, and you're going to say, it's been 6 weeks, I haven't gotten my refund. And they're going to look it up, and they're going to say, we mailed a check, or we did this, we deposited it in this bank account, and you're going to go through all those steps. So, but be aware, phishing, you get these phone calls. And I know it's kind of died down, but it typically ramps up here as we get to the end. And that goes with the emails, too. The IRS will never, ever, ever send you an email. They are prohibited from using email. Actually, everything is done through either fax, and it's old school landline fax, although they do use e-fax. Some of the, especially people that have been working from home, but that's how they communicate there. They do not use email. I was actually talking to some state revenue agent at some state. They're not even allowed to use, like they don't even have email. So like they don't want, it was like, I want to say it was like Missouri. Please, I don't want to get phone calls from Missouri. I can't remember. It was a state somewhere. The auditors don't have email because they don't want to open the door. So somebody really, I think, is pretty smart there. You think, well, how can you function today without email? Oh, pretty good,
Pretty well.
actually. Pretty well. Actually, we did that for a long time. I was being interviewed by a college student, and we got on the subject of management, and I said, well, I was there when we started to use email. And she looked at me like I was ancient. I was there when email started. I mean, we started, and it started as an inter-office thing. So who knew it would evolve into what it's evolved to now? Identity theft, of course, the number one purpose of these scams. And then you get into return preparer fraud, and that is just blatant fraud, inflated refund claims. And the sad part about inflated refund claims, it's that it's preparers that initiate a lot of those. Most people are desperate. They need some money. They're not getting a refund. They owe, and the preparer will make some suggestion to them that's blatantly fraudulent. It's not like, well, did you do this? Well, the law says we can do this. No, this is like they make stuff up. Because what they do is they try to, some of these, and they're usually fraudsters, they're usually people with phony storefronts, they're usually people that this is what they're trying to do. And they'll try to find a victim because they don't want to use their own social security number, they want to use yours. So they'll get you to do it, and they'll split the refund with you or whatever scheme they come up with. And people go for it. They don't get in trouble, but you do. Because people have come to me later to mop up the messes. And I'm like, well, you said you had a business. Well, I didn't have a business. The guy said if I put a business on there, I'd get a bigger refund. No, it doesn't work that way. If you don't have a business, don't put it on your tax return. Falsifying income claim credits, and that's a big one, especially energy credits. Remember when they were giving really big energy credits? People were saying, oh, yeah, I put a new whatever in my house, until you get the letter asking you to prove it. And then nothing. Fake charities is another really, really big one. Fake charities that will tell you if you give. So this is what I have actually seen. The charity will approach, however you get it, they get in contact with you, you get in contact with them, and they'll say, if you give us $1,000, we'll give you a letter or whatever, a document that you gave us $10,000 to put on your tax return. Yeah. I know, Emily, it's a root of all evil, money. Remember, avoid that stuff, folks, because the IRS actually tithe letters, if you've ever been audited for this, tithe letters from your church, even though you get them and it's a good proof that you gave to the church, it is not the only one the IRS will want to see. So I've only had a few of these, but I've other CPAs and things I network with have told me they've been in these charity audits. So an example is somebody will inherit, they'll have an outlier amount of money will come in. They'll inherit, I'm just making something up, $250,000, and they'll want to go ahead and give 10% to their church or whatever. So they'll write a $25,000 check to the church. The IRS will send them a letter because that's kind of a high number. I mean, especially if their income was very low. If they made, whatever, they made $30,000, $40,000, you gave your church $25,000. So the IRS will want to see just proof that you did it. They're not accusing you of anything. They're not saying you didn't do it. Just prove you did it. The letter from the church may not be enough, and most times it's not. They're going to want to see something from your bank, a canceled check. Did you send a cashier's check? Did you wire the money? I mean, that money somehow went from you to them. How did that happen? And they want to see that. There was one person got audited one time, and they were big donors. I mean, they were pretty big donors. I really didn't have a problem with the IRS verifying this because they gave a substantial amount of money to their church. They wanted to see, so every week they wrote a check to their church pretty much without fail, and they wanted to see the checks, the canceled checks. So it was no big deal. They just got the bank statements, and we just copied that page and sent them, all 50 checks, and they went away. So, but they do want to see more than that. So don't fall for these fake charities. It takes more than a letter from them on some made-up letterhead that anybody can do on a computer.
And also make sure that it's a real organization, because with disasters, they're saying sometimes fake charities will crop up and take your money, and it never goes to the victims.
And how can you check if they're a real charity?
There's a website.
Let's give them a little more information than that, Emily. You go to irs.gov. The only website for the IRS, irs.gov, not org, not edu, not whatever, gov, G-O-V. And if you go there, you'll see that right at the top, there's actually a hyperlink for charities and nonprofits. I just had to do this. Thursday. That's why I'm so enthusiastic about this, because I know exactly. I was just here. Somebody actually made a sizable donation, and I had to look up their charity to get the EIN number because I wanted it documented, because it was pretty sizable. Well, sizable for them. Let me say it that way. So you go right here, and there's actually a tool here where you can search. It's called Tax Exempt Organizations Search, and you search organizations, and there's a couple of more little hyperlinks here, but this is the one we want right here. Tax Exempt Organization. They really should do a better job with that. This should be like a nice little box here, make it easier to find. But anyway, Tax Exempt Organization Search Tool. You click on there, search for tax. See, like that. Search for tax exempt organizations, and then you can do it by if you know their EIN number. If you don't know their EIN number, you can search by their name, and then you put the name in there, and you can actually narrow your search down by putting in the city, the state, the country, and you can actually search a few. There's a few different criteria there, but it's very, very easy to do. In this case, I was looking for that right there, and you just put the city, and you get all kinds of information. You can actually see all the tax returns that they have filed, and you can actually verify not only are they a real 501c3, but how long have they been doing this. See, there it is. There's the EIN number. See, I didn't have it, so there it is for a city. And then when you click on that, it gives you their letter. So that final letter, which is the IRS final letter, that says that they were in fact approved for 501c3 status. And then here's all their tax returns that they have filed. So you can look back and see, is this a legitimate charity? Have they been filing tax returns? You can actually open up that tax return and look at it. A charity tax return is not like a individual tax return. They call it an information return. It's a Form 990, and it's due, by the way, you charities out there. Yeah. Like the way I brought that right back around. It's due.
If you didn't, I was going to.
It's due May 15th. You charities, your 990s, it's May 15th. So you can see if they filed their tax returns, where they're at. Now, charities are allowed a 3-year window, so sometimes you'll look up a charity and just as an example, it'll show their last tax return is a 2020 tax return. So you go, oh, they're 2 years behind. Well, no, they're within their 3-year window, and a lot of times these 990s take a while to process. So they may just be, the IRS has been a little bit behind. 2020, 2021 were slow years for them. So things are still posting and pending, but you can see prior years. You open it up, and it'll download it as a PDF into your computer, and you can actually verify, hey, are these people who they say they are? The person that contacted me said he's the director. Well, you can look at that tax return and see the list of directors that they have on there. And you can see there's just all kinds of information. So that is a good way if you're considering, especially if you're considering a sizable donation, or if you're considering a QCD, a qualified charitable distribution from your IRA or your 401k. You may want to vet the charity. Now, most people do that to their church. The church they've been going to forever, so there's no issue there. But other people are considering expanding their donor base, or their who they're giving their money to. They're the donor. Their base of people they're giving to. I have several people that contact me as they're going into retirement. They want to make sure that they want to give money to certain things. I always tell them, make sure you're giving it to the right group. Make sure that they are in fact set up, because you don't want to run into a problem later. Okay, let's go ahead and take another break. It is Gilbert Talks Taxes, WCAB AM 590, FM 100.9.
Hi, I'm Sandra. My husband Peterson and I own Precision Detail and Tint. We invite you to come to our new location at 620 U.S. Highway 64, Rutherfordton, on the corner of Silvers Lake Road and Highway 64. Whether you need specialty detailing for your car, RV, or boat, or window tinting for your automobile, or home or business, we can help you. Voted Best of Rutherford County for 11 straight years, you will know you will get quality work at a good price. Stop by for an appointment or call 828-245-8889. We're open Monday through Friday 9 to 5 and Saturday 9 to 1.
As we get ready for this year's tax season, there's one thought on everyone's mind. Will Gilbert's hair look fabulous this year? Oh, yes, it will. How can I say that? Because I go to Robin Saunders at RSL Salon. Whether it's a good haircut, a pedicure, or a manicure, you can count on RSL Salon. Call Robin at 828-289-9110, because everyone deserves to look fabulous.
We are back. That was fast. WCAB. This is Gilbert and Emily Talk Taxes, AM 590, FM 100.9. We are back. If you need to give us a call, our telephone, or if you need to give our office a call, schedule an appointment, or you need your tax return done, or you've got a tax issue you need me to help you with, you want to do some investment planning. Now, I kind of have the investment planning thing on hold till after April 18th. We are, I'm not scheduling any appointments right now unless you want to open up an IRA to fund for your tax return. And that conversation we have while I'm doing your tax return. That's the only appointment for financial planning I'm taking right now. But after April 18th, after I get about a 3-day nap in, after that we will be booking those appointments. So let me move back to, so we pretty much talked about the scams and stuff. Tom was just sharing during the break about the texts that keep popping up on everyone's phone. I don't know how they do that. There's supposed to be a lot of tools that stop. You're not supposed to be able to just send random texts, but they do in bulk too. Mm-hmm. I have no idea how that technology works, But so this is the thing. I don't understand how somebody could fall for these scams. I should have saved the one that I got yesterday. It looked like someone taking money from your bank. It would literally, that was the language. I'm like, that is a scam. I meant to save it, but then of course I just delete because you want to get it off of there. But the grammar was so bad. It was just horrible. We can't deliver your order. Your address no be good. Like what? It was like okay.
Okay, Tarzan.
And how does somebody fall for that? That's the part I don't. Well, I guess if the person that gets that, maybe they speak like that. I don't know. Maybe that's totally normal to them. Oh, it no be good. We fix. But it was to all the words were plural that shouldn't have been plural, and it was just everything was wrong. And how do you go, oh no, Amazon just sent me a text.
I didn't think I ordered anything.
I didn't think I don't even have an Amazon account. But Amazon's trying to get me. It's sad. It's sad, but just be aware if it's something like that. Okay. What else do we want to talk about, Emily? Anything do I dare talk about banking right now? It has been the subject of the week, hasn't
Is there
it?
something to talk about with banking?
Something's going on with banks. So in November, when FTX melted down, and do we have? Well, yeah, that's the whole point. I believe that is the whole point. Emily just showed me something.
That's just what pops up when you talk about banks.
Yeah, that came up. The problem is everybody in our government's asleep at the wheel. That is the problem, and they don't really understand it. They are trying to make policy for issues that they don't understand. They don't understand the root, the core of what the problem is. They don't understand fundamental economics. My degree is in accounting and business administration. My minor's in computer science. And for that, I'm a double major. And for that major, I had to take macro and microeconomics. And there are things that are just fundamental that aren't going to change. I don't care how woke you are, how altruistic you are, how equitable you are. It's got nothing to do with any of that. Okay? So we have to adhere to these fundamental core things. And as long as they don't, we're going to have problems. And it's just the bottom line. The bottom line. See, that's what people are interested in. Mm-hmm. Forget that. That's what they're interested in. So until we have people in government that understand what's going on, that aren't going to lie to us about what's going on, things just are not going to change. So a lot of the conversation this week has been about people are asking me, should I pull my money out of my 401k? Well, I can't give you that. I can't tell you what to do with that. You're just going to have to. You're going to have to pray. It's what I told a man yesterday. I said, you're going to have to pray, and you're just going to have to obey God. What is God telling you to do? When you pray, because nobody knows what's going to happen. I get texts from people. They forward me emails, and there's this guy. So this is like I get 30 texts like this from different people. This is a generic theme of the text. There's this man, and he's worked for ABC, you fill in the name, this company, and he's an insider in, you fill the industry, and he knows what's going to happen. And he's got these videos on YouTube. And I always, say, does he have a book for sale? Yes, he does. Mm-hmm. How did you know? Yeah. And is he asking you to invest in gold and silver? oh yeah, or whatever the solution is. The bottom line is nobody knows what's going to happen. Okay? There's only one that knows, and his name is God. So just ask him. I don't waste my time watching these videos. And I tell people that, I said, don't send me this stuff because I'm not going to listen to it. I'm not. Number one, I don't have time. I don't have time to answer. I have people that have been waiting for me to get back to them for a week. I've got people, Emily's looking at me like, is that all? Emily's been waiting to talk to me for a week. This is the most time you and I spent together this radio program.
Pretty much.
I think this is just why you do it, right? Just so you can,
stop.
just so you can. Oh, by the way, Gilbert, I need help with this.
No.
While you're
I
here,
like
no,
being here.
I know you do. No, I know you do. But it's not like we just talk all the time. There are people waiting for me. I'm not going to listen to these videos that are on YouTube about a guy who's got it all figured out, because he doesn't. Nobody knows. I know what I feel in my spirit, in that place where you stop and you ask God when I see these things happen. And I know, and I come here and I tell you what I feel. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I've been right a lot. I mean, I have just been right a lot. And I'm not a genius, and I'm not claiming to be one. And I got no book to sell, by the way. I don't. I'm actually working on one, and I'm probably going to give it away to all our clients. But I am working on one. If I ever get it past pre-production, I think we're going to do it. You know, I want to do I've pulled together transcripts of my first year of radio programs, and I've edited it to a point, and I'm trying to get it printed. But I'm not trying to sell a book. But when FTX happened, I knew it was a big deal, and I came on here and I did almost a 1-hour program and I compared it to the beginning of the Great Depression. And I said, this is huge. More money evaporated in one day than evaporated during the entire 9 years of the Great Depression. And again, when we look at the Great Depression, I say it this way to try to explain it to people. It's not like, you know, Black Thursday happened and Black Friday happened, and then people woke up on Monday and said, we just had a depression. It wasn't until 6, 7, 8 years later that they looked back and said, you know, I mean, they knew after about the first year that things weren't getting better. You know, don't forget, we define a recession as 2 quarters of negative GDP. In spite of what our government's telling us now. That is the definition going back to the 30s. Because that's when they look back, they said that was the beginning of the Depression. We had the recession, 2 quarters of negative GDP. But the White House has done everything they can to change that. No, it is a recession. We are in a recession. So when that happened in November, and the serial liars in the media just lied about it, I told everybody, no, this is coming. There are going to be bank foreclosures. There are going to be bank closures. Sorry. There are going to be bank closures. And I've been telling everybody, get out of debt. Just get out of debt. Don't be dependent on these banks for your lifeblood. You can't. You can't trust them. They're going to start closing. They're going to start folding like a house of cards. Because nobody there is awake at the wheel. Nobody. They're more worried about all these other things that have nothing to do with what they're supposed to be about, which is managing money, equity, and all this other stuff, and global climate change. I mean, what can the Wells Fargo do about climate change? Really? Because you bank there? You're going to save some polar bear? I mean, just stop and think about that. How stupid is that? But people really believe it. But it's coming around. People are very concerned. People have lost confidence in these banks. So my advice to everybody has been, you need to pray, because we don't know what's going to happen. Nobody knows what's going to happen. God does. Go to him and just ask him what to do. People want to pull their money out of their IRAs or 401ks. I said, these decisions have major tax consequences. If you're under 59 and a half, it's going to cost you 25 to 35% of that money to pull it out. So, you know, think it through. Somebody said, well, if I lose all of it, that's more than 35%. I said, yeah, that's why you got to know. Because when the road gets rocky, you'll know you got something to stand on. I know God said. You know, you can say, well, I missed it. I didn't hear the voice of God. At least you got that, you know. But if you go, well, so-and-so told me to do this, so-and-so told me to do that, that's not going to make it. It's not going to make it. And I have yet to find one of these guys. Again, I don't even listen to what they've got to say, but I can tell by the title of their pitch that that's what it is. It's a pitch. They're trying to get your money. Don't listen to it. Don't buy it. Let's go ahead and take our last break. This is Gilbert Talks Taxes, WCAB AM 590, FM 100.9.
A good sign is good business. Make your business stand out with a professional sign from Dia Signs and Graphics. Successful companies all over the United States trust the team at Dia Signs and Graphics. With 25 years of professional experience, we have the ability to present your company's image in the best light. Not only display signs, but Dia Signs and Graphics can print banners of all sizes. If you need magnetic signs or window and vehicle graphics, call on Dia Signs and Graphics today. We offer a full line of sign products for any event. 3D, sandblasted, storefront, and monument signs are just a part of a complete selection of quality signage. Professional signs and banners to fit any budget. Let your business stand out. Call Dia Signs and Graphics today at 286-4900 or stop by the sign shop located on Main Street in downtown Spindale. And check our website for more suggestions at diasignsandgraphics.com.
And D&S Signs has moved. They're now at 1621 Porsford Road in Rutherford. That address again, 1621 Porsford Road. Jesse James Railroad Express has moved to a new location, 126 Park Lane Plaza in Rutherford, and they've changed their name, Jesse James Chowhound Canteen. A new name, a new place, and a limited menu. Currently, you can get smoked sausages, kielbasa's, and of course those delicious hot dogs. And you can get coleslaw, macaroni and cheese, and potato salad. Stay tuned for their new menu at their new place. Hours are Tuesday through Saturdays from 11 until 2, closed Sundays and Mondays. Jesse James Chowhound Canteen, 126 Park Lane Plaza in Rutherford. Call 286-9368 and get a 99-cent hot dog with mustard, chili, and onions, Tuesdays only.
Hi, this is Christy. Gilbert and I are excited to announce our new name and location. Carmona Financial Consultants at 704 Oak Street in Forest City. Let us help you with your taxes. Let us help you with your investments. Carmona Financial Consultants at 704 Oak Street in Forest City. Stop by or give us a call at 828-289-9300.
This is Gilbert Talks Taxes. That is the international Morse code signal. Were we able to get that button pushed there? WCAB AM 590, FM 100.9. Thank you. We should just not even take breaks. We should just keep talking. It's just one big long conversation for us.
Heck with the sponsor.
Yeah, who cares about it? Well, they're just businesses I support. The IRS, you've been talking to the IRS a lot this week.
Yeah, except for yesterday.
What happened yesterday?
Their system was down.
Their system was down on a Friday.
I called twice, and it said, call back when the systems are up. I'm like, when's that?
Yeah, they don't know. They don't
That's
know.
why when you said you were e-filing, I was like, great, something was working.
Yeah, I was e-filing, and the modern e-file platform has been actually doing pretty good this year. We've been getting responses very quick. Acceptances have been coming back very quick, and people have been reporting their refunds very quickly.
Pretty much on schedule, yeah.
Pretty much on schedule. So I don't know if they're just trying to rebound and show Congress that they're happy with their $87 billion that they got, and they're actually functioning, or if they actually are functioning. I haven't actually been on the phone as much with them now that you're taking a lot of that off of my plate. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. You can do the hold time.
Which hasn't been so bad lately.
No, that's what I heard. Well, I've had to call a few times, and
It depends on the department.
it depends on the department and who you're calling. I had to call for I had a quick, literally the proverbial quick question, one question. And I just, on a lark, I said, let me try it. I picked up the phone. I got through in 3 minutes. Now, we call a practitioner line. We are enrolled agents, so there is a practitioner line for tax attorneys, CPAs, enrolled agents, practitioners that have a Form 2848 or an 8821 on file, or can fax one in to them. We can get an agent pretty quick. In this scenario, I already had mine on file, so literally it took the person 1 minute to verify me, and they were able to answer my question right away. I was very happy when you have those things, because in 10 minutes I was on and off the phone, and I had an answer to my question. So that was very, very good. You know, I want to get back to something I meant to share earlier about charities. If you are a charity in North Carolina, you are a 501c3 registered charity, tax exempt, you are actually tax exempt from sales tax also. But the way it works and I knew it worked this way in South Carolina, but I wasn't sure in North Carolina. I just had a situation this week where I had to help somebody with this. You actually have to fill out a form and claim the refund from NCDOR, and it's done by quarter. So if you have not been doing that, you can actually go back. There is a 3-year look back on it. So right now we're at you can go back to first quarter 2019 on this. So if you have not been doing this, if you're a charity, and it doesn't matter, big charity, small charity, and you've been paying sales tax, because you can't, unless you received sales tax exemption from NCDOR for another, not necessarily because you're a charity, because that's not how that works, but you got it because you're buying things for resale. Unless you have that working, and those of you that do that understand how that works, this is, you're paying your sales tax on all your purchases for the charity. The charity is making these purchases, and they're paying a sales tax. You can claim a refund of that sales tax, which is 7%, right? You know, more in some counties. I think it's 7.25 in some counties. It depends where you are. It's the county rate. The state rate's the same. It's the county rate that's a little higher. But so you fill out a form at NCDOR. It's a 5500 form where you're claiming that refund or a refund of taxes paid. I meant to say that earlier, and I didn't want to let that go, because I was surprised at how many charities didn't know. Well, let me say it this way: the couple I was talking to didn't realize that was the case. So I've got 2 of them that didn't know that, and we are working on that with both of them to help them. And I knew it was that way in South Carolina, because we've got several in South Carolina that I work with, and that's what they do every quarter. Now, they don't wait. They do it right away in real time. It's just one of the things we do, and we keep track of it. Now, you don't have to send every receipt, but if they call you to audit you, you have to have the receipt. So, you know, make sure your number's good, because they may or may not audit you, or they may pick one quarter to randomly audit you. You don't know which one it's going to be. You'll want to be good on that. So be sure, you know, you've got those receipts at least put away and ready to show them to somebody. Okay, so I wanted to say that. Now, we have got, see, I gotta pick my topics, because I can go off on 20 minutes and not even be sure.
You don't have 20 minutes
I've got
left.
6 minutes, 5 minutes and 50 seconds to be exact. And that doesn't give me a lot of time to talk about most of the things I want to talk about. So I said before the break, a lot of people on the tax planning side have been asking me about pulling their money out of their 401ks, pulling their money out of their IRAs, and I just tell people, you really need to just, you know, hear from God. You need to pray about what to do. Other people are wondering, should they continue to keep funding? Again, you got to pray and you got to know what to do. But as far as IRAs go, you still have until April 18th to contribute to your IRA, and you will get the tax deduction at tax exemption, because it's deferred. So let's say you owe money or you're getting a refund and you haven't contributed to your IRA, or you're not contributing to a plan at work, you can put up to $6,000 in a traditional IRA. If you're under 50, if you're over 50, you can do $7,000. And what that does is that reduces your taxable income by whatever amount of money up to that $6,000 you put in. Okay, so you typically, depending on your threshold and your tax bracket you're in, if you put in $6,000, it may reduce your tax due by, and I'm just making a number up, okay? Don't say Gilbert said I'm going to get $1,900 more, but it'll reduce your tax liability by, let's just say, $1,900. Okay, but again, you're putting it away in a traditional IRA. And then if you go to pull it out and you're below 59.5, there is a 10% penalty. And it's tax deferred. So when you pull it out, you will have the tax to pay on it at your tax bracket. See, the theory was, and that theory's kind of fallen apart because people are living longer and people are working longer. But the theory was you're going to put your money away now that you're in you're working and you're in the high tax bracket. So you're a mid-30s person, you're kind of at the top of your game as far as in your industry, you're making a high salary, you're in a 22% tax bracket. The theory is when you're in retirement, all you're going to be having is some investment income, your Social Security, and this IRA money. You're going to be at the lowest tax bracket, say 10%. And Social Security's taxed on an ARC, so not all Social Security is taxable. So you're going to be at the lowest rate possible. But what's happening now is people are working longer. We have people. We actually had somebody last week that's 80 and has. She said it was part time, but it's pretty full time if you ask me. She's working almost 40 hours a week. And she wants to. It's not that she has to. She wants to. I had another man, 76, 6, and he's working. His wife said he's working too much. She wants him working less. And but he's in great health and he loves it. And he's got a good job and he really wants to keep doing it as long as he physically can. And I'm like, great, don't stop. So that theory about when you pull it out is kind of falling apart. But count the cost if you're going to do it. Yeah, you'll get the tax break now, but you're locking that money up. I mean, do I recommend you do it? I recommend we sit down and have a conversation and discuss what your goals are. And somebody said this is more of a therapy session than it is a tax planning. And I had a couple that I met with last week, and I said, yeah, my degree should have been in marriage counseling, not taxes, because we end up talking about all these other things, but all these other things are important. It really matters. What do you want to do in retirement? I've used the example, if the wife's idea of her retirement money is to help the grandchildren through college, and his idea for the retirement money is a bass boat and a lake house, we've got a gap there. It needs to be closed a little bit, okay? Because there isn't enough money to do both. So what are we going to do? And where's the give and take, and what kind of planning, and realistically, what can we plan for? But it keeps getting back to the advice I keep giving in light of these bank closures and in light of what happened with FTX. I had somebody come to me that lost actually I've had several. I had one yesterday, and I've had several that have lost a substantial amount of money in crypto. I mean, substantial. And they said what? The one person said it was a wild ride. One day I'm up, I'm up, the price of a house. The next day I'm down. The house is gone. Like, yeah, it was a house of cards. Really, not even real cards, virtual cards. So, but my advice to everybody has just been get out of debt, stay out of debt. It's a time to be there. It's a time to be like Granny. Because when you needed money, that's where we went, to Granny. Okay, we are out of time. I will be back next Saturday.